Let's see. Bhagat says, hi, my name is Bhagat. I'm specialized in 3D environments and prop artist, and it's been 3 months I've completed my course from an institute. Right now I'm finding jobs according to my portfolio, but the problem is that where I live, there is no jobs according to my portfolio. The only jobs is product modeling, interior, game studio, and my interests have shifted in stylized mobile game art. I'm learning that in my halftime. Am I doing wrong? I'm really confused right now. Please help me. I'm really inspired from your teaching. Some of courses, learn so much from you. My institute doesn't teach me. Okay, let's take a look. So, oh, cool. Yeah, I remember some of these courses. So you got some cool stuff, man. This one immediately sort of like speaks to me. Looks cool. There's a lot of detail going on. Nice presentation. Definitely not for games. This is definitely more for like a cinematic or like short or movies because of the density. Now, this is an interesting like irony with this model, right? You have a model that's very dense, the vehicle that it's needed for this kind of like elements, of course. But then we go to the roof and we can see the faceting here on the faces. We can actually see that this is just like a 20-sided circle or something. If you're gonna go high poly, go high poly. Like, make sure that this looks really high poly so that we don't see this very ugly faceting happening around the whole thing. That's the concept right there. I think you got pretty close. It's not exactly the same, but you definitely got close. You're missing some important details, man. And again, this is where you guys need to be more mindful about the concepts. If you have a concept and the concept has that like blue paint or blue like trim there on the front, you need to include that as well. You missed it. And I'm not sure if you missed it because you forgot or you thought it was too difficult or whatever, but you are missing some important pieces from the concept. And again, put yourself in the shoes of the client. This is something that we don't do a lot as artists, guys. And I want you guys, everyone that's watching, to start doing this, because we like to blame the industry, and we like to blame the suits, and we like to blame the CEOs because they don't know how art works. But then we don't put ourselves in their shoes and like, hey, I'm the CEO, I'm hiring someone, I'm asking them to do this, and they deliver something that's completely off. How would you feel if you were the CEO and you were hiring someone and that someone was doing a shitty job, right? So you need to also put yourself in that, like, in their shoes and understand that they're expecting you to do something. So if this is a concept, I'm expecting to see every single little piece of this concept as close as possible as you can get it. So it's important that you show this the exact same thing that they're asking for, okay? Because this does not perfectly match the concept, like the curvatures and things like that. There are things that are missing, and it's important that you understand that it's not a one-way street. Like, we shouldn't feel entitled as artists and be like, oh, this is my art, and if you don't like my art, then I'm going somewhere else. No, if you want to be part of the industry, you need to play with the rules of the industry, and one of those rules is that everyone needs to do their job, and your job is to be as precise as possible when doing this kind of like models, this kind of stuff. Same thing here, like you switch the Marshall things there on the top. They're not the exact same ones that we have on the concept. So be very careful about every single detail, every single element, every single point. Don't forget that. Sally Beats, yeah, can you share that on the Whips channel on the Discord? Because I'm not sure we can share links here on the YouTube chat. Let's see. Yeah, so that one. This one again, it's a tutorial piece. This was one of the first tutorials that I did. It's a good result. You managed to capture most of the stuff, and it looks nice, but it's just a tutorial. So for me, that's most of these are tutorials. So you definitely need Bhagat to do more work on your own. Is it okay to use a concept as a base and then move away from it to add some of my own originality? That's a tough question, King Spud. It's a very tough question. I'm gonna say yes and no. Yes and no. What do I mean? Let's look, for instance, concept art, character. Actually, let's go to the one that we saw just a couple of moments ago. Let's say I go here to Gingy's portfolio, and I found a concept that I really want to do, like this guy right here, Charles. Looks pretty cool, right? Kind of like another version of Thyros. So if I say, hey, I'm gonna change, I don't know, this chain, and instead of being on this foot, I'm gonna have it on the other foot. Or I just want to have one chain, I'm gonna delete this other chain on this side. Or maybe on the tail, instead of having 3 divisions, I'm gonna add an extra 4 division. Those kind of changes, I could be like, okay, if it works and it makes it better and it flows nicer, sure, go for it. But if you tell me I'm going to change this hourglass and now it's going to be a globe, and I'm going to change the horns and they're now going to be going down, and I'm going to change the tail and now he's not going to have any tail, and I'm going to change the feet and he's going to be wearing boots, that's no longer the concept. So you could say, hey, I use this concept as inspiration, but at that point, it just becomes like something completely different. So I would, you need to decide, when you pick a concept, you need to decide, is my goal on this concept to match it as close as possible, or am I just using, as you say, this concept as an inspiration? If it's to match it as close as possible, you should not change anything, or keep it as close as possible, right? There's things that are going to be modified or changed, but you gotta try and keep it as close as possible. And if you're just going to use it as inspiration, at that point, you might as well just design your own character, grab multiple characters that you like, and create your own. So it's definitely viable to do that. Just be very mindful of what your goal is when picking a concept, okay? Baxter says, don't ever show references at all if you're not a pro. I'm not kidding. Yep. That's like one of those tricky truths, Baxter. I do encourage people to always show the reference, because you can see how far or how far or how close they got to it, but it can backfire. It can definitely backfire. So you might want to keep it. Like I think, I'm not sure if I have this on my portfolio. I did this piece as part of my portfolio when I was graduating. Yeah, this one. And this one was done by Eitan Sana. It's this one right here. And I did get pretty close back then. Let me show you guys. So if you get pretty close, I think you're fine in showing it here. So that was the original concept. And that was my version. Right? So it's not one-to-one, but it should be fairly close, right? So in this case, I don't think it would hurt me to have the concept piece as part of the element. But in the case of something that's really far off, then yeah, like you probably don't want to. You want to check the metal edge wears? No, this was an old... Actually, this one was an old project. I didn't use Substance Painter for this one. I used Mari back in the day for this particular project. And V-Ray. I think we were using V-Ray at that point. But yeah, now I see it in, for instance, the antenna, right? Like this thing right here, I should definitely like improve it, because there was way more detail on the antenna right there. But I was happy. They even printed this one out, and I'm not sure if it's still there at the new Nomon campus, but they had like the picture as part of my work right there. So that was a fun one. But yeah, if you're gonna be using a concept, make sure to nail it as close as possible. Okay. Love-hate relationship with concept artists. Yeah.